Hey, this is Andrew. I just started my, I think it's round 6 tournament game against Jazz Lines. I think it's JTXIS on the forum. I haven't quite figured out what I'm going to play yet. I'll just start with this stuff. So now I have to decide either Grunfeld or King's Indian Defense. Let's go with Grunfeld. Takes is the main line, there are other lines too. Bishop g5 is an alternative. Knight f3 is a move. Queen b3 is kind of a late sideline. Not terribly familiar with this stuff. I think we just take on c4 and then play Bishop e6, but I'm gonna have to think already. Let's see. I'm pretty sure we take on c4, but I could be wrong. The point is just that the queen is kind of misplaced, but I know that that's what black is trying to prove, but I know that this has been played before. Alright, so we'll take. He's going to take back. And then now I have to decide whether I want to play Bishop g7 or Bishop e6. The advantage is Bishop e6 picks up a tempo before he can get an e4. After e4, it's possible that Bishop e6, d5 is bad, but Bishop g7 is just like the main developing move. And on e6, the bishop might be misplaced because he might attack c7. Let's see, I can also play a move just like, I don't know, some do-nothing move, knight c6 or knight d7. Probably knight d7 isn't better, because then we can come to b6 someday and attack the queen. I'm going to play Bishop g7, Bishop e6, he has queen b5, and then I have to do something about the b7 pawn, which just kind of looks annoying. Probably go back to d7, and if he takes, then Bishop c6 is annoying because I have this long diagonal, but I don't really want to give him a pawn right out of the opening, so I'm just going to play Bishop g7. And after I castle, then I kind of start to think about how I want to harass his queen. But yeah, I know that the point of these types of lines is that the bishop wants to be on c4, not the queen. Sometimes the queen will go back to b3, and then bishop c4. Or the queen will usually move somewhere or other. I guess I'm a little bit surprised he didn't play e4 immediately. That would allow him to stop bishop e6 basically forever. I'm just going to castle though, because we've kind of transposed into a more normal position now. I've gotten to this position when white plays knight f3 before queen b3. And now e4 is like a main move. This is like some main position. So maybe I didn't get the most out of the position if I'm letting him transpose back to a mainline position, but we can look at it after the game. So. Yeah, so this is like one of the main Grunfeld positions with knight f3 and queen b3. Usually knight f3 is played first, and then queen b3 take, queen takes, and stuff like that. For the life of me, I can't remember what the new main line is. I know that bishop g4 is probably the best move here. I'm probably going to play bishop g4. Many times in the Grunfeld, that knight wants to be on e2 so that bishop g4 can be met by f3. When the knight's on f3, we almost always play bishop g4 and then try and take on f3 before he plays bishop e2 to ruin his pawns. With the queen no longer on d1, I guess we don't have the pin, so he could play knight e5 or something. Then I'd go back to e6. Yeah, I'm thinking bishop g4. And then we'll see what he does. Bishop e2 is kind of a move to try and save his pawn structure. Bishop e3 is common to support d4. d4 is his weak point, especially if I get in a move like c5 and knight c6 and like normal play. It's hard to play c5 with the queen on c4 though. But usually the queen moves back to d3 or b3 to try and free up the c4 square, and because I oftentimes bring a rook to c8. I'm not sure what he's going to play. Alright, bishop e2, so he's just defending the knight. So now bishop g4 doesn't look as good because, well, it's still a move because it develops, but bishop f3 is kind of out because I don't really want to develop his bishop and undevelop my mine. However, the bishop on g4 is still useful because I might someday take on f3 if d4 gets weak. So I will probably play knight d7 to b6 now to chase his queen. And then I will try to play rook c8 and c5. Just looking at some of these positions, I have a hard time attacking d4 because he's going to play bishop e3, and after bishop e3 and queen d3 is d-pawn's pretty safe. I think there is some kind of a, I don't remember who played it for the life of me. Usually they don't play bishop e2. Usually you get to take on f3. looking at some crazy ideas. Sorry, I'm not talking more. I'm looking at a6 and b5 to chase the queen away from c4 so that I can try and get in c5 safely. I'm also looking at this knight to d7 and b6 to attack the queen, and then I could stick this knight on c6 someday. I might be able to play knight c6 immediately, because if d5 I can take on f3 and then play knight e5, hitting everything. I'm probably going to do that. I think after knight c6 you should probably play bishop e3, and then I can bring this knight to d7 and b6. Yeah, I like this. Let's just do this. I'm probably missing some stuff. After d5, I think I can play knight a5 too, if I don't want to start trading everything off. But probably it's good to trade the pieces off, because that's kind of the only way that black can get to an endgame, when usually these Grinfeld endgames are good for black. Although most of the time we get to trade off our c pawn for that d pawn. Alright, so bishop e3, I guess that was kind of what we were expecting. I was saying knight d7 to b6 now, potentially. I'm not sure if I should take on f3 first. Probably I do want to take on f3. I guess he's going to castle long, pretty much no matter what I do. Oh, sorry. The point of taking on f3 is so that I can play e5 immediately. If I play f5 now, his knight is defending, so it's annoying. If I play knight d7, that's another way to try and play for e5. Since I don't have the c5 break, I have to play for the e5 break. I guess that's kind of I wasn't explicitly saying that, because that's just kind of like the Grinfeld plan, but I'll try and explain a little bit what I'm trying to do. He has a big time edge, of course, but that's okay right now. e5 immediately might be interesting. Probably we transpose if I play e5 immediately, but because he can't really play knight takes e5. Alright, I think I'm going to take on f3 and then play e5. Although knight d7 is tempting too. The only thing I don't like about knight d7 is he has time to castle, or once his rook comes to the d file, it's a little bit bad for white, because or it's a little bit bad for black, because this d pawn is kind of invulnerable then. Right. I'm going to just take and play e5. I don't really want to deal with giving him too much play. I also want to stop him from castling for the time being, at least until I've kind of worked out what my my plan is going to be. Okay, so that's a little bit unusual. Usually they take with the pawn to support e4 better. So I'm still going to play e5, I think. He just can't take on e5 now. If he takes on e5, I'm hitting everything, and that's just really bad for him. So long castles and d5 are kind of the moves that I'm looking at. I guess he could play rook d1 and try and short castle too, especially where he took with the bishop. If you take with the pawn, you almost never want to short castle because sometimes black gets an attack with knight h5, f5, and knight f4 stuff. But where he took with the bishop, his pawns are intact. If d5, we play knight d4, always, basically. If he castles, I'm probably going to take on d4. It's always good when you can get rid of this bishop, even if he gets a little bit of extra space in the center. And then we'd still have the 3-on-2 queenside pawn majority. Okay, so d5. So I'm going to play this, and we have tricks to not lose a pawn here. He probably will not take. He's probably going to castle. In this position, if he takes, pawn takes, queen takes, knight e4, he can't, that it's attacking his queen with the bishop, if you can follow that. So bishop takes, pawn takes, queen takes, knight e4, and then we're attacking basically everything. We're attacking his knight, we're attacking his queen. If the queen moves, we take and ruin his pawns. Okay, so he's probably going to be in big trouble now. And he can't take the knight because of rook e8. Okay, so it's probably a good move. Rook e8 is probably best. But we'll see. Let's see, what else can I play? I don't think I can take immediately. If I take rook e8, f3, f5, d6 looks problematic with discovered check. Maybe that works, but I think I'm giving him too big a center there. If rook e8, I'm basically threatening the same stuff. I'm going to take on e4 next move. He doesn't have time to take on d4 because piece on d4 would be exposed to fork. So yeah, I like rook e8. If queen c7, we have queen d5. So we have some tricks now. This c-pawn is pretty safe, even though he's attacking it. His king's still in the center, which is it's probably going to lead to a little bit of trouble. Yeah, I think black's doing pretty well here. I don't know if how much better black is, but I do think black is better now. What should he do? If he just castles, I'm just going to take on e4. Yeah, and that would defend the d-pawn as well. The key point is that I'm always going to defend d4 with this bishop, and his bishop is gone now. So it kind of it's just nice situation for me to have this unopposed dark square bishop. It means that my king is going to pretty much be safe forever. I think almost no matter what, I'm going to take on e4 next move. If he plays a move like queen d3, then I'd take on d5 instead. Sure. Castles knight e4, rook d1 knight e4, castles line, still probably knight e4, although, yeah, I think so. Knight e4, and then we're threatening knight e2, or f2 rather. Alright, so he's spent 2 minutes so far. We're only on move 13, so time could become a factor. The good news is with the increment, that helps a lot for this time stuff. If I were him, I'd probably just castle now. Give up the pawn and then hope to win one back. I'm not sure if he can ever win c7 though. Yeah, I would definitely castle if I were white here. It just looks like it's going to be an awful lot to deal with if he doesn't castle now. Okay, so he castles, and I'm just going to take on e4. If he takes, my d-pawn is safe forever. Okay, so now do I have tricks? I probably have tricks. Looking at queen d5 is the main move. He has a hard time defending that knight. After he tries to defend the knight, he can't play queen a5 because of a6. Well, he might have a4 there. That gets a little bit crazy. Queen d5 definitely looks best. I'm also looking at queen g5, just go for the knockout immediately. He might have queen, no, he doesn't have queen g3 there. I'm also looking at queen h4 stuff, or bishop e5, just tricks because this diagonal is a bit weak, and especially where I have the only dark square bishop, this diagonal would be pretty nice for that bishop. But I'm not sure that I can get to that safely. I can't play queen g4 because of g3 or queen g3. So let's see, probably queen d5, and then how does he react to that? After queen d5, knight d6 maybe, because then he's forking the rook, and b7. I'd probably play rook e2, and then after he takes on b7, I can either push the d pawn or snap on b2 and attack his knight. I think I would probably be winning after taking the queen off to queen c7, knight c7, rook d8, and his knight is going to have to move, and I'm going to play bishop e5 to chase his knight away next. Right, I'm really running low on time, so I'm just going to take on d5 without trying to go too much further. And we'll see what he does. I think he should probably defend his knight with a4 as opposed to playing knight a3. Knight a3 is going to run into, I don't know, d3 is what I was looking at first, but he probably has knight c4 there. Oh no, he doesn't have knight c4 because the rook is on c4. Okay, so yeah, knight a3 is going to run into d3. The point is bishop b2, forking the rook, and knight is really strong there. Okay, so he plays knight d6. I wanted to play rook e2, that was my first reaction. I'm also looking at just d3 and giving up the exchange, but I don't think that's as good. I think I'm just going to play rook e2. I don't really want to deal with being down in an exchange at this point because I think I'm better and I'm up a pawn. He can take on b7, but I don't think that's so much. I was looking at rook g4, but he's going to have g3 and then queen b7 stuff. So yeah, let's just play rook e2 and we'll figure out what to do next. If he takes on b7, I'm definitely taking that. And then I'm probably going to double rooks on the 7th with rook b8 takes b2. Yeah, I think that's best. That d-pawn is really fast now. I should pick up the pace a little bit. He probably has queen c4 as well. Maybe not. Maybe I just take and d3 or something, or b5 maybe. Yeah, b5 looks winning there. So that's about it for his moves. He should probably take on b7 and get the queens off before something bad happens. I'm threatening bishop e5. I don't think bishop e5 is so much, but I mean, he has ways to defend it, obviously. trying to decide how to try and win right here. Because now f2 is undefended as well. Looking at bishop e5, or rook takes, bishop e5. If he takes, and then plays queen f7, I can run, because he doesn't have any more checks, and I'm threatening rook e1 mate. I'm not sure if I have anything better than that though, or the other move that I'm immediately looking at is d3 to try and get a pawn on the 7th, which is always a real pain in the neck for him to deal with. And b2 is kind of the last candidate move, but I don't really want to allow his rook into the 7th. I'm going to play d3. He kind of has a hard time developing his last rook. He can't really take on e2, excuse me, because after I take back with the pawn, queen d1 is coming without a good defense. He should probably get some left for his king at some point so that he can, so that queen d1 wouldn't pin his rook or whatever. The left is pretty hypothetical. It's more just pattern recognition stuff. A lot of times there are no mates if you have lefts, obviously, but when there's a pawn that's about to promote, sometimes that's the only good way to defend. He would have stuff like, after he makes left, he would have rook e2, d e2, rook e1, queen d1, queen c1, kind of defending everything, although then I'd always have queen d6. If he does nothing, I might play d2. Again, I might have a better move, or that might just lose on the spot. Optically, it looks pretty good. I don't see how he does absolutely nothing. Bishop b2 to c3 is also an idea sometimes. Right, I'm going to take this. Now he pretty much has to play rook e1 because I'm threatening queen d1, queen d1 mate. I guess he could play queen c2, which would stop that as well, or rook e1 again. Alright, so now I'm a little bit less in critical time pressure. Rook e1, I should have something good there. I'm not sure though. I'm looking at queen d1, queen c1, queen d6, but that allows him to take off my passed pawn, so I might have queen d2 instead. Queen d2, queen c1, queen c1, rook c1, and then rook d8, attacking his knight and threatening to come to d1 with mate. The same pattern is rook e1, queen d1, queen c1, queen c1, rook c1, followed by rook d8 again. So yeah, I think queen c2 is probably best under the circumstances, and I don't see anything better than taking off his knight. Rook d8, he's probably just going to transpose. I'm just going to take off his knight. I was looking at rook d8 to try and have mates, but he's just going to take their next move anyways. Alright, so he's going to take, and then I'm going to play rook d8. If he doesn't take, I'm going to play rook e8, and that's just all over. Okay, so he takes rook d8. If he moves his queen, it's going to be a simple win. We'll just trade off all the major pieces, and I can win. Oh, he just resigns. Okay. Good game. Let me just show you what I was looking at. If he moves his queen somewhere, we're just going to do this. And this is all over. And if he just does something like this, I'm probably going to play this. I'm just talking to him. He was asking, was knight b5 a bad move? Alright. I still don't know how to copy the moves automatically. I'm pretty sure there's a way that I used to be able to copy the moves right out of the game, but I just don't know. What did I just do? I just moved the toolbar, sorry. Just copying the moves into chess base now. I think that should fit. Okay, so let's go back. Get it from black's perspective. Okay, so queen b3. Let's see about that. Okay, it's like d6, the most popular move. It says games round 0. I know it's lying to me. Although apparently we're overloading my poor computer. Alright, so taking is the main move, c6 is the other move. And then why don't people play bishop e6, queen b5? Okay. And then after this he's... Oh, I wasn't thinking about that. I guess I have knight d4, which is kind of cute. And he has no good way to defend. So, but I was looking at this, and then if he takes on b7, we have bishop c6, which is we're just gaining a few tempi here, and this looks fine for black. probably more than fine. Okay, I played bishop g7, just a normal developing move, and we kind of got back to a mainline position. A6, huh? Who plays a6? So everybody plays a6, or they did in when my database is from. Yeah, this I've seen before. The idea is that we just do something like this a lot of the time. Those are all the most popular moves. I'm not sure they're the best moves, but black gets some nice queenside space, I guess. Okay, I played bishop g4, which is the other move. Yeah, this is what I thought he would play. I thought he would play bishop e3, and then after bishop e3, probably just have to play this move immediately. And then usually we get something like this happening. And we have these knights, which they control a lot of space. But he has this center. And yeah, we just get to this position, and then we trade off a few of these guys, and it's a game. This is kind of what I'm used to. This is kind of what I was trying to figure out how to get to, this kind of position. With the bishop on h5, it can get dropped by g4, but he doesn't have a g-pawn. As you can, I don't know if you can read the text, but a lot of times white tries to get some kind of attack going. 4 or 5 happens once in a while. Yeah, it's a sharp position. In the game, he played bishop e2, so I wanted to get an e5 immediately, so that was why I played knight c6. If he played d5, I was planning on taking and playing knight e5, so we'd get to something like this. Again, pretty double-edged, not something I'm terribly afraid of. Okay, so let's go back to the game. That's probably enough on the opening. Okay, so again, he can take the pawn, and we just get a slightly different position. He probably wants to play something like this now. And we would get some kind of position like this. This looks pretty good for black, but it's probably going to get pretty trash. Bishops of opposite color. He took back with the bishop. So I don't think he should take. I think he should probably just play rook d1. Has this position been reached before? Yeah, a few times. Usually bishop f3 to d1. Karpov played that. Yeah, that looks like a Karpov move. Oh, Karpov, Kamsky. Just click through this real quick. And b1, but it doesn't look that. Yeah, and he's going to try and round up that pawn. Black has some counterplay, but it's probably going to be a good position for white. Okay, anyways. It's kind of crazy that we were still kind of in theory at this point. Okay, so I don't know about this move. Maybe if he comes back to e2 he can hang on, because now I don't have knight e4 tricks. For example, if I do nothing, he can take here because knight e4 he has queen e4, and there's no pin on his king. I'd probably play this, and he can probably take anyways. I don't know where he wants to stick the queen, maybe here, and attacking my knight, his pawn. Reasonable, probably black's move here. Okay, anyways, after knight b5 and rook e8, I think he has some big problems to solve. I don't think he should take on e4 with the bishop. I was looking at a move like this to try, and then I play knight. If he just take back, I have a good position, anything that's pawn. Just slowly build up. c8, c6, bc, maybe c5 someday. It's just up under very little counter. Yeah, so here I think black's doing pretty well. So obviously bishop takes, this rook gets really active, and queen c7 allows my queen to come to d5. That's probably, again, probably this here. You take, become. So he would have to come back. And now I can just start to gang up on this d-pawn because he doesn't have a light square bishop anymore. And he doesn't have any safe way to defend it. You can try something like this. To cheat and win. And after d-pawn is in file, we can just push it and win that way. Alright, so that's kind of what happened. At the end I wasn't sure if I had better moves. I was looking at takes bishop e5. I was looking at queen f7, and I don't see any perpetuals, but so probably this is just good for me. Probably has to come back to c4 or something to defense, but he doesn't have to sack. I'm just chatting with him. Okay, one last thing. Mostly for this position. The knight on d4 is usually pretty strong. It's hard to get rid of it. We have tricks like I can't nothing. Tricks like I can always get up wherever when he can. Usually a big problem. Maybe he should try something like this. This is going to be good for 4 square. So I think Karpov's move is probably best. This bishop is kind of dominating the knight now. The knight doesn't have any great squares, so we just kind of get a position where someday he can take and try and win that way. Alright, anyways, that seems to be everything. At the very end, I think I mentioned a few back rank tricks. I like d3, I think it's probably best. I was looking at stuff like this, because this just looks hopeless for him. But beefing if he does this. Now I don't really have any tricks, so you can just move. And well, in this case that would win easily, but he doesn't have to take, he can just come here. And now there aren't going to be any back rank mates because his king can always escape. Actually this position is sure that's h3 to c, and has to play forget one, and maybe I'll take here and threaten bishop c1, winning an exchange. Okay, so anyways, at this point it's pretty bad because this knight is kind of misplaced. He should probably just take, and I can't take the knight because that ain't rook. But I think this is probably already close to winning. That's about it. Thanks for looking for it, and good game to Jazzlines. Alright, bye bye.